rocks, this is known as riprap, and it's used in dams and reservoirs in a lot of different areas. It's used along the dams to keep from washing, and along causeways, roads across the lake. As fishermen, we just don't want to pass these things up. Several things involved in it. It's usually the deepest water in the lake there, but also you have access to a causeway, for instance. The water you have where it crosses, where the water goes under a causeway, that's the deepest water in the area. This gives you access to a causeway. But the main thing is that when you go to the causeway, you can look at a lot of things. You can look at the watercolor on one side and watercolor on the other side. And normally, there'll be a difference in this. So you really have a selection of watercolor. Not every time, but most of the time. Usually this riprap can be in a dam, can be on a road crossing the lake, or it can be in a breakwater. A lot of places we just have a breakwater. But you don't pass them up. You always want to check them out, because in a lot of reservoirs, they leave the trees in here, and along the causeways, it's always clean. It's area that you can always fish. Now, in trolling, the best way to start this thing is to troll it. And I start out just as close as I can to these rocks and things. And what I want to do is I'm running the lure. I want it to hit the tops of the rocks. I'm going to start out with this one to run, or I can get this small lure just in as close to this rocks as I can. And I'm going to throw it, and I'm going to let out enough line just so that I hit the tops of these highest rocks. Now, this is very important that you adjust your line length and where the boat is so that you just hit the tops of the rocks. I'll make my passes of this size, which will take me down to 2 to 3 feet. And after I do that one, I will get the next size, which is a 400. This is going to take me down to about 6 feet, 4 to 6 feet. I'll let out, say, 30 to 60 yards of line, and I'll move into where it just barely is touching the tops of the rocks. Then after I've made a pretty good run with this one, then I get a bigger one, the 250. Now that's going to take me down to 8 to 9 feet. With a short line, I'm around 6 feet. So what I'm doing here, these 3 lures here, here's the causeway. I'm going here, the riprap. Then I'm going here, and then I'm going here. Now that gets me down to about 9 feet. Now after I do that, I may want to go a little bit deeper. I'm going to get a couple lures here. So the next pass, I'm going to go a little bit deeper. This will take me down to about 12 feet. That's a 200. This one, after I've made a pass at that, let down my line, come along and just tipping these rocks, tipping the tops of the rocks. I'm getting way down in here around 12 feet by this time. If I don't hit the fish, then I go to the next size. I seem to have a lot of ribbons here this morning. I'm not going to bother with them. I got them all tangled up. This is going to take me down to about 14, 15 feet. Normally by this time, I should find some fish against riprap. I no use to go down real farther. Now it's very important in running each one of these size lures that you just have exactly enough line out. If you're running too much line, you're going to be down in those rocks. If you get in too close, you're going to be down in the rocks and you get hung up. So you set your distance and just the size lure. Get in close with this one, let out about 2 corners where it's in a no-ball line. Move into his tip, 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 tip the tops of the rocks. Do the same thing with this one. Same thing with this one. Same with this one. Same with this one until you get downstairs. By that time, when you made your passes along the riprap, if you haven't caught one, it's not likely that they're there. Let's take this situation that we're fishing here right now. I want you to look at this. It's real cold, and I'm going to use about these three sizes because I feel, and looking at the watercolor and the weather's not too good, but I got a good watercolor here, that by the time I get down to this size, that should tell me whether there's any fish active along this riprap. I want to see if we can get a color, some color of this water, which is a white sandy. And of course, you know, if you know me, that's what I'm looking for. Let me take a lure. Let me see if I can find a white lure. I'm going to put this white lure on, and I want to show you the white sandy water and why I said that we should be able to find these fish in this section of water. Somewhere between, as close as I can get it, 2 feet of water, for instance, with this one, and down to 8 feet. And looking at the weather, and which is, see, I got some vapor trails up there. You see them? And although it's cold, but the watercolor is one of my controlling factors here. By the time I get through these, and probably by the time I get to this one, I should find out whether there's any fish here. So I'm going to take this white lure, and I'm going to put it in the water. And this is a white sandy, and I think you'll understand why I'm just probably hoping that I'll find a fish with these right here. Now, you say, well, they're going to be all small fish. Not necessarily. We're going to catch fish here with these lures that happen to move up. They could be real good fish, or they could be small. But the way I'm looking at the weather and this watercolor, I'm expecting to get some big fish, pretty good sized fish. Now, I want you to follow this with camera, so if you see just about, now I got about a foot of line there, haven't I? Can you see that? About a foot. Now I'm going to drop over here, and you follow the lure over. I'll drop this lure, and you see I got about a foot here. Now, I want you to be sure you can get the color. I'm going to go down very slowly. Is it gone? You don't see it, do you? No. Okay, I'm going to come up about 4 inches. See it? Yes. Okay, go down again. Good watercolor. And then by doing it that way, I feel that those first 3 lures, which will take me down. You see it? Here, see? Watch. Now let me pull it and see if you see it wiggling. Did you see that depth? You didn't see it, did you? Okay, I'll try to hold it up here at the surface. See it? Okay, you're about that deep. You see where it started fading out? Could you see that? If you look at the watercolor and how important the watercolor is, and I'm trying to impress upon you, and we'll do some fishing, and I hope that with this watercolor and everything, you're going to see some fish caught with this lure and these sizes right here. And I want you to know, pay attention, because too many people say they'll pass up this. What this does is if you look at the trolling procedure, I tell you, is to start just as shallow as you can go. Now, I'll grant you that I say that deep water is the home of the fish, but periodically, they will become active and may move toward the shallows. Now, it may not happen very long, but anytime that you happen to pass up the shallows, that's just about the time that they're going to move in. So, a fish stays fishing. The fish are not active. They're not moving all day long, but lots of times you have some stragglers. But you'll check out the shallows, and you work right on downstairs on your structure. This normally is going to follow contours of the bottom, checking out the shallows. Then when you get into the larger lures, you're going to start working structure. That is bars and things that the fish use in their movements and migration. You may have to go on downstairs to say 20 feet or 23 feet. But then you start over if you haven't hit the fish. Because while you were down in this area, some could have slipped by you. Now, as you get older and experienced in spook like that, you look at the weather and things and the watercolor, and pretty soon you can just about figure whether they're going to be in this section or they're going to be in this section. But don't expect that to happen overnight. You'll never get to the point you can't become a better fisherman, especially in the interpretation of structure downstairs and the weather and the watercolor. The watercolor, I want to impress upon you, is so important. I spend the first day driving around the lake. What am I looking for? First thing, I'm going to cross the riprap. If there's a causeway, I'm going to look at the water on this color. I'm going to look at the water on that side. I'm going to see if there's a difference in watercolor. Then I'm going to continue around the lake until I find an area that has structure situations. And by this time, you should know what I'm talking about. Can I present lures good? Is there a bunch of trees so bad that I can't fish it? Is the moss or the weeds so bad I can't fish it? Well, I'm going to find these things out as I drive around the lake. But when I go across the causeway, I'm going to see some watercolor. As I drive around the lake, I'm going to see some watercolor. So if I don't show anything else today, is the importance of watercolor, the importance of the riprap, you don't pass it up, and the importance of straining this and not go downstairs. You strain it. I'm going to start here, I'm going here, and I'm going here, and I'm going here, and I'm going here. Now, today, I may not go downstairs. That's pretty good watercolor. The weather isn't too bad. If you see it, you'll see some high cirrus and some vapor trails are sticking up there. Do you see them? Look, vapor trails. High cirrus. And look at that watercolor. Even though it's down close to freezing last night, I don't care. The fish may not jump much. Well, we'll see today what's here. Now, you watch me what I'm going to do here on these lure sizes and how I work the riprap. One thing I told you, now remember, when you're working, you want to let out enough line per size to just feel it touching. Now, the guy running the boat tries to hold the boat in position. In other words, if I let out a certain line and I'm so far from the bank here, I'm going to try to hold that thing. But you do have another little key. If the wind blows you and you're going down here and you're getting out of line and this lure doesn't work quite right, you get it bumping and all at once you find yourself you've gotten out too far. Show you a little trick. That rod's sitting out there. You get it going to where you're just barely tipping, tip, 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 and all at once starts bumping too much, and you look up, you come in too close. Just raise that rod tip. Slowly raise the rod tip. And then you move it back out, and she's bumping, still bumping, tip, 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 and not bumping too hard. And then all at once, since you moved it out, the thing's running free. So you just drop the rod tip, and you feel it tip, 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 tip. Now you see how that'll compensate for how quick you were running the boat. You just raise your rod tip, 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 and it's bumping, if it's bumping too heavy, then it starts running free and not bumping. You just lower the rod tip, and in the meantime, you maneuver the boat a little bit too. So you can go down through there, even though you might be a little black snaking it a little bit, you just compensate that by raising the rod tip and lowering the rod tip. And as soon as you feel it tipping the tops of those rocks, then then you're fishing. That's the way to fish a riprap. Okay? I'm going real slow because it was real cold last night. In fact, it was below freezing. So I'd have to go slow, but I'll check out the speeds. But most likely it's going to be quite slow. I'll move in now until I feel it bumping and I'll straighten up. I'll keep the rod tip about right there, so that as I start tipping, I'll be able to maneuver the rod tip up a little bit. And starting to tip, I got out just a little bit too far there. Don't worry about it if you can't keep it bumping all the time. Now I'm bumping. If I felt like I'll get the bumping too hard, I'll just raise the rod tip a little bit. I'll go back down. Now I'm hitting it just right. Fish are moving. It's pretty early in the morning, so maybe we'll get the fish just a little bit later. We're going to pick up Jerry anyway, and Jack Weber's over here, so they're going to come out in just a few minutes, and so we'll put Jerry in the boat and we'll go to work. Okay? Well, what's this? Now, if it was a little hotter, and in the summertime, and I was working this in when it was real warm, I would increase my speed. You see it touching? But you see it, I got this little speed to it. And in the summertime, hot weather, this would be about where I start. Then I'd probably go a little bit faster than this. Now, on our next pass, we'll go a little bit deeper. Whoa! There's about 400 feet. You saw me catch that fish with this little foreign. Now, a lot of times when working riprap, you got to figure that you're going to have hot spots. This hot spots along a riprap on a causeway or a dam or even on a breakwater is caused by there's something downstairs that leads the fish to that particular spot. There might be some scattered fish all along, but I heard you'll only ever find a riprap that won't have a hot spot. It could be a ramp or something that came up. It could be a bar that came up. It could be that a channel swung in close like that. And on many of them, when they build the riprap and stuff, the causeway or the dam, they'll close off the main stream and put the channel somewhere else, or the outlet somewhere else. So that means that old river channel or creek channel came in and stopped. They just blocked it off. That gives them a perfect route into against the rocks. So this gives you a hot spot. Now, you just saw me catch that fish. Now, we had caught some in that general area. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go there and cast it, because the hot spots, when you hit several fish in a particular area, you go back and cast it, because that's the hot spot. And it'll be many times you may just limit out right there. Okay, so we're going to go back and I'm going to let the boat drift a little bit and cast that area and see if there's any more fish there. As cold as it is, and the way it's been acting, I don't think it'll be a school, but I can't pass it up because we've caught a couple of fish right in that area. Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to a larger lure just to cast it in, because I'll stay out from the area. To start with, I may move in real close to the bank and cast up and down the bank just like I was doing the trolling. But first, since right in there is area, I don't want to get the boat in there too close, so let me do a little casting there, a little fan casting in that general area. Now that size lure will be bumping those rocks as I come out. And that's what I want to do. It won't take many casts to find out whether there's any in there. I'm going to let it sink to us a little bit and be sure I get down against those rocks. And I'll start my retrieve. You can pick up most any size lure and cast, which makes it easier for you. Now I would cast that. I'll just do the fan casting all around there. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to move over there and kind of drift down the side of it and make my cast down kind of like the troll. So I'm going to back up here, right in there's area. I'm going to back up and make my cast in the hot spot. I believe the wind will drift us a little bit, and I got below here so the sun don't bother us. And right in here is the way I'm going to make my cast up and down this shoreline. And you see the shoreline there? Now I'll do it different depths here. See it, I'm bouncing the bottom, just about like exactly like the troll. It will take many casts here to figure out just what is. I'm gonna let us think a little bit, so I'll be sure that spot lure gets down there and I get to walking. You may not be able to see that, but it's just bouncing along the rocks, just like I did on the troll. Okay, I'm gonna come bouncing right down through there where the hot spot was. And then I'm gonna do one more. I'm swinging out just a little bit and getting just a little bit deeper. I'm bouncing just real good. It wasn't there.